The Red Sea shimmered like molten glass beneath the rising sun, deceptively calm. Aboard the USS Delaware, tensions swelled with the tide. Captain Eliza Moran stood on the bridge, arms folded tight across her uniformed chest. Her gaze scanned the endless horizon, but her mind was fixed on something far less visible: intention. Behind her, Lieutenant Rios adjusted the holomap. Enemy markers flickered like embers. 3 Houthi fast boats, 2 clicks out, holding position. Too close for comfort, Moran murmured. She walked slowly to the console. They're testing us, again. Should we escalate rules of engagement? Rios asked, voice low, careful. No, she said flatly. But prep Sea Viper systems and bring the drone net online. They poke us, we poke back, gently. The bridge crew moved with quiet precision. These weren't rookies. They had seen operations from the Persian Gulf to the Philippine Sea. Yet today felt different. Not just because of the proximity of hostiles, but because of the silence. No demands, no chants over the radio, just stillness and shadow. Down in the ship's central lab, Dr. Ram Kumar adjusted the calibrations on a foreign-looking device. It pulsed faintly, humming in an alien tone that no human-made sensor could fully categorize. Recovered months earlier from a skirmish site near Al-Hudaydah, it had been dormant until this morning. Now, it sang. He tapped into the naval communications. Captain Moran, you may want to see this. I'm busy watching the Houthi Navy play chicken, she replied curtly. This isn't about them. Not entirely. Within minutes, she stood beside Ram, watching the readings. It's emitting... What is that? A ping? Not a sonar ping. A quantum harmonic. Some kind of non-local signal. It's reaching beyond our satellites, beyond even deep-sea relay range. And it's responding to something. Her frown deepened. What kind of something? I don't know yet, but I think the Houthis have something that activated it. Or worse, they already made contact. Up on the bridge again, Rios called out, Captain, we're receiving a transmission, unencrypted. The speakers crackled. A male voice came through, grainy, distorted by the low fidelity, but unmistakably human. American ship, your presence defiles sacred waters. Withdraw or be erased. Rios raised an eyebrow. That's bold. Replay it, Moran ordered. The message looped, followed by silence. Then, without warning, 3 Houthi speedboats surged forward, skimming the water like wasps. Behind them, a 4th vessel lagged behind, larger, angular, unlike any known naval configuration. Launch intercept drones, Moran ordered. Sea Viper on standby. We give them one chance to turn. They're not slowing, the weapons officer said. Fire flares block their path. Disable, not destroy, unless they force our hand. Flares arced across the sky, bursting with phosphorus warnings. The first 2 boats ignored them and accelerated. The Sea Viper turret swiveled, its targeting HUD locking in. 2 precise shots fired. The boats exploded into plumes of smoke and salt water. The 3rd veered sharply and halted. The 4th, the alien-looking one, suddenly fired. It wasn't a torpedo. It was a pulse, a low-frequency electromagnetic blast that shuddered through the ship like a growl. Consoles flickered. Crew members grabbed railings. The lights dimmed, then stabilized. Direct EM pulse, shouted the engineer. Shorted, non-hardened systems, but hull integrity holds. Return fire. Disable it. Missiles launched in a synchronized barrage. The unknown vessel was ripped in half, its metallic shell peeling open like fruit. The wreckage floated, then began to sink. A silence fell again, until a voice came from the comms. Not broadcasted, not sent, heard inside their heads. You tread where you should not. The deep one stirs. Let the surface burn. The words reverberated with no discernible source. Crew members looked around, disturbed. Was that broadcasted? Rios asked, blinking. No, Moran said, pulse quickening. That was something else. Divers were sent to recover wreckage. What they pulled from the remains chilled even the most hardened sailors. Strange alloyed metal, etched with symbols that glowed when touched. A node pulsed faintly, still active. And inside the strange hull, what looked like a control panel. Ram examined it and whispered, "These interfaces, they're not built for human hands. They're too symmetrical, too exact." Suddenly, sonar screamed. "All stations!" the operator yelled. "We've got a contact, below us, massive." "How massive?" Moran asked. 800 meters, maybe more. It's not a sub. It's not a geological shelf. It's moving." Outside, the sea trembled. The crew fell quiet. The Houthi threat had been a provocation, but something else, ancient, patient, and watching, had finally begun to rise. And the Delaware was sitting right above it. The ocean beneath the USS Delaware churned with an unnatural rhythm, as if the sea itself were exhaling. Captain Eliza Moran stood at the command console, knuckles white against the polished steel. Every sensor lit up with warnings. Depth charges hadn't been dropped, yet something was climbing from the abyss, slow but certain. "Contacts gaining elevation," reported the sonar tech. "Velocity increasing. Now breaching 3 knots vertical. Still no classification." Moran glanced at the holographic display. The shape was wrong for a submarine. Too large, too consistent. No terrain map matched it. It was as if the seabed itself had risen, and now the deep wanted to breathe surface air again. Dr. Ram Kumar arrived on the bridge, out of breath, tablet in hand. "Captain, we have a problem." She turned. "Just one?" He ignored the sarcasm. "That energy signature from the Houthi vessel's device, it matches the signal we've just picked up. Only this one is broadcasting at over 10,000 times the strength." "You're saying they activated this?" "Not deliberately. More like they lit a flare in a cave and found out they weren't alone." Moran nodded, absorbing it like shrapnel. "Is it responding to us?" "Possibly. It's analyzing us or probing. The signal modulation has changed since we engaged the Houthi ship." The deck trembled slightly. Then again, crew instinctively braced. The tremors weren't random. They followed a cadence, like the heartbeat of something that had never known daylight. Outside, the sea broke open. A dark spire rose from the depths, gleaming like obsidian, yet alive with shifting iridescent veins. More followed, each an architectural impossibility, forming a dome-like structure over 200 meters tall. At its center, an aperture opened, revealing an eye. Not literal, there was no sclera or pupil, but it observed. Everyone felt it. Minds tensed as if pressure had dropped in their skulls. Moran's voice came quiet, but resolute. "Is that a vessel?" Ram replied without looking away. It's a construct. A biomechanical sentinel, maybe. Or something worse." Before she could issue a command, the crew stiffened. A voice, silent but crystal clear, spoke to them again. Not through comms, not through sound, but directly into cognition. Words shaped not by vowels, but by emotion and knowledge pressed into thought. "Observer class species. Archive initiated. Behavioral analysis. Inconclusive." One of the ensigns collapsed to their knees, gasping. "It's in my head. It's showing me Earth, burning, cities underwater, then stars, dying." Another whispered, "It's testing us." Moran activated the red protocol override. "All crew, emergency lockdown, biological contamination drill. We're under cognitive influence. Engage mental shields." Every crew member's neural dampeners, embedded behind the ear for counter-psych warfare, engaged. The buzzing in their heads faded slightly, enough to focus, but not enough to forget. Ram steadied himself. "This is a scan. It's not an attack. It's learning from us, our reactions, our fears, maybe even our intent." "And if it doesn't like what it sees," Moran asked, "it'll respond, probably the way we did, with force." Suddenly, the construct shifted, Panels along its side retracted. Dozens of orbs, metallic and faintly glowing, emerged and hovered silently. One projected an image into the sky, a memory, a primitive world, covered in water. Ancient beings, not quite human, standing at the edge of fire. A shape in the sea, always watching. The same construct, older but unmistakably the same, rising from depths before receding again. "They've been here before," Ram whispered. "Long before us. Why come back now?" The projection changed. Earth, now. Modern. Satellites in orbit. Nuclear detonations. Forests raised. And then, the Delaware. Zoomed in with surgical precision, the image pulsed red. "Because we're the ones poking the nest," Moran said coldly. "And they're done waiting." The construct pulsed again, and one of the orbs darted toward the ship. Alarms screamed. A kinetic barrier activated just in time. The orb bounced off and hovered, undeterred. Then it emitted a pure tone, so high-pitched and harmonic it turned stomachs inside out. Systems began to fail. "EMP field rising," the chief engineer barked. "Ship-wide diagnostics failing. Even analog backups going haywire." "Deploy drone swarm," Moran commanded. "Keep that thing away from the hull." The orb reacted before they even launched. A beam of light, not fire, not plasma, shot out and vaporized the forward drone bay. It wasn't a weapon in the traditional sense. It was precision denial, a message. Ram's voice was grim. "They don't want war. They want silence." Moran turned to him. "Can we talk to it? In a way it understands?" "Maybe. The device we recovered, it wasn't just a signal. It was a key." Another tremor. The construct fully surfaced now, towering over the ship. The sea was unnaturally calm around it, as if obeying. "Do it," she said. Ram tapped his pad, sending a harmonic sequence through the air and water. A mimicry of the original frequency, layered with new modulation, attempting not mimicry, but acknowledgement. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the construct froze. Every orb returned to its dock. The aperture closed. The light dimmed. A single phrase filled every mind on board, spoken in finality. "Judgment deferred. Calibration incomplete. Await signal from Prime." Then, without a ripple, the construct began to descend. As it sank, the sea healed itself, waves returning to their rhythm, birds daring to return. The crew was silent. Rios finally asked, "Captain, did we win?" Moran stared out over the water. We were measured. And in the silence that followed, every soul aboard understood. They were not alone. And someone far older was watching, calculating whether humanity deserved to stay. The USS Delaware floated on a sea returned to stillness, yet nothing felt calm. Captain Eliza Moran stood at her desk, watching the encrypted debrief being prepared for high command. She knew most of it would never leave classified vaults. No one on land was ready to hear that Earth had been observed, let alone weighed in an alien scale of judgment. She turned to Doctor Ram Kumar, who sat cross-legged on the floor of the secure lab, surrounded by fragments of the strange Houthi device. He hadn't slept in 20 hours, his eyes bloodshot, his fingers twitching as he manipulated the holographic controls. "Any progress?" she asked, voice hushed though they were alone. Ram looked up, weary but energized by discovery. This was never Houthi tech. They found it, maybe dug it out of some Yemeni ruin or ocean wreck, but it's ancient, truly ancient, and it was waiting. Waiting for what? For us, he said grimly. For the species that made warplanes and nuclear warheads and thought we'd mastered our world. They were listening through this key, monitoring, and the Houthis, unknowingly, broadcast the signal that triggered the construct. Moran leaned against the bulkhead. So we didn't summon anything. We woke it. Ram nodded. And it's not alone. That sentence settled like frost. Down in the command center, Rios and the rest of the bridge crew reviewed surveillance footage. The construct's exit had left no seismic trail, no electromagnetic wake, as if it had simply returned to another layer of existence beneath physics or beyond it. It didn't want war, Rios said, watching the orbs retract one more time. Not yet, Lieutenant Hayes replied, but it made itself known. That's a warning. Moran entered and surveyed the group. You're all thinking the same thing. What happens if or when it comes back? No one answered, but the silence was agreement enough. She turned back to the central holo display and brought up a global map. Dr. Kumar has found traces of similar harmonic echoes in 3 other places: the Mariana Trench, under the Ross Ice Shelf in Antarctica, and somewhere in the Sahara, under layers of prehistory. Are we dealing with a network? Hayes asked. Possibly. We don't know how they communicate, or if each construct is independent. But what's clear is that they've been here before, and Earth is laced with their fingerprints. Ram's voice chimed in over comms. Captain, you should see this. Back in the lab, he pulled up a decoded pattern extracted from the device's sublayer. It's a countdown, not time-based, not in the way we measure it, but a calibration window, a period of observation. And when it ends, they return. Moran inhaled sharply. Then we have a deadline. Ram hesitated. There's something else. The data contains fragments of other languages, dead ones, ancient Sumerian, Proto-Indus, even early Abyssinian runes, all embedded in the signal. Wait, Moran said, heart racing. Are you saying this thing's been communicating with humans for thousands of years? Or guiding them, Ram replied, shaping development, interfering just enough to ensure progress, but perhaps limiting it too. It was an unthinkable theory. Civilization as a guided experiment. We're not just under surveillance, Ram continued. We're part of an equation, and the parameters are shifting. Moran paced. Then the confrontation with the Houthi vessel, the pulse, the message. It wasn't just about us. It was a test, a trigger, and now something bigger has been alerted. Ram nodded. They used the word prime. It's likely a higher-order intelligence, possibly the source. The construct deferred judgment because we're not worth the effort yet. But that won't last. The captain looked out through the armored viewport toward the sea that now hid far more than fish and pressure. Her voice was quiet, but carried weight. Then we have to prepare Earth for what's coming. Rios entered, holding a data slate. UN Command just pinged us. They're sending a deep-sea research team and advanced salvage drones. But they don't know the full story. They think we destroyed an advanced enemy prototype and encountered a geological anomaly. Let them believe that, Moran said. Until we know how to explain the truth without triggering global panic, we hold the line. Ram stood. We need to find the other constructs, learn their purpose. If they're dormant, maybe we can communicate, or at least understand their criteria. Moran gave him a sharp look. And if they're not dormant? He swallowed hard. Then Earth becomes a proving ground. Hours later, as the ship moved toward deeper waters for new scans, Moran stood alone on the upper deck, eyes scanning the star-drenched sky. There was no storm, no movement, only silence. But it wasn't the peaceful kind. It was the silence before music, before decision. She touched her comm. Log entry. Captain Moran, USS Delaware, date redacted, location Red Sea, status. We are not alone. We were never alone. And whatever waits in the deep, it's listening. She paused. And next time, it won't just listen. The stars above did not blink. The water beneath did not stir. But somewhere, beneath 1,000 fathoms and perhaps across stars, a presence marked the earth. The calibration had begun.